Hi everyone, Comic Reviewer here. This time reviewing on Adventure Time. Now, Adventure Time is definitely a show I actually remember finding on Wikipedia. At first it put me off, but after watching some of the episodes, I actually got into it. Now, the premise of the show is about young Finn with his adopted brother Jake, and how they live in a treehouse in the Land of Ooo. Now, the Land of Ooo was originally Earth, but due to a big event, caused a post-apocalyptic world to happen. And given the fact things like lumpy space people, also talking animals and such, now exist, and we have Finn trying to struggle with the fact that he's claimed to be the last human, and also going on misadventures with his adopted brother Jake. Now, the characters are actually quite alike, because Finn is the fun, adventuring type, and almost every episode involves Finn either losing his arm in the final and getting some sort of replacement. Now, also Jake is meant to be the adopted brother of Finn, and can stretch his body to any shape, size, and thing he wants. And together they go on misadventures and so on. Now, the show does have filler-sodes in a way, and some that lead up to story arcs and so on. What's interesting is that you even got the character Ice King, who is meant to be a sad, lonely, and antisocial ice wizard, and you find out his true origins, that he was originally meant to be a person called Simon, who put on the crown. And also he's got a pet penguin called Gunter. Now, Gunter is usually that character who stays by Ice King's side, and is shown to be quite evil, and there are more truths about Gunter. Now, what's also interesting is that there are so many other characters, like Princess Bubblegum, who runs the Candy Kingdom. You've got Flame Princess, who is in charge of the Flame Kingdom. Marceline, who is a young vampire musician slash queen. You've got Lumpy Space Princess, a kind of diva and kind of saying, oh my glob and all that. Now, what's actually interesting is that, due to after the Mushroom War, some traces of old civilization is still left, like VHS tapes, TVs, also cars, old vans, old buildings, and so on. And it kind of gives that kind of... Remember that film Wizards that was done by the same guy who did Fritz the Cat and that? It's kind of like that in a way. What's interesting is that the show has ran for 8 seasons, and the show is on its 8th season final. I actually do admit Adventure Time does so well in building up a good storyline. There are some dark episodes that either go into Lovecraftian horror, otherworldly stuff, and characters kind of act like show versions of things. For example, there's a character called Death, who usually shows up when a character is usually dying and so, who's voiced by the same guy who voiced the main villain in Mulan, and Deathstroke in Teen Titans The Judas Contract. He's meant to be the show's version of the Grim Reaper. You've got Abraham Lincoln, who is the King of Mars, and is meant to be the show's version of God, and also the Holy Man. You've got Orgolog, who is kind of like a cosmic entity, meant to be the show's version of Cthulhu, and the other monsters in the Lich's speech, meant to be the version of the Cthulhu Mayos. The Lich, who is meant to be voiced by the same guy who voiced Slate in Teen Titans, is meant to be the show's version of Satan and The Exorcist and such. Now, I do admit Adventure Time does so well because there have been toys, games, there's even been like t-shirts and a lot of merchandise, even with McDonald's. Now, I am a bit disappointed that the show is going to end its season, but there's been so much good stuff about it. Now, what's also interesting is that I actually did watch the pilot many years ago, and only the actor who played Jake did return. So obviously, Finn's voice actor's brother didn't return, and Lady Rainicorn was voiced by the same guy who did the voice of Walmart, Teacher Squat, and also Brainiac and Martian Manhunter, didn't return, and instead we got new voice cast, which I'm up for. I do admit Adventure Time is such a perfect show, and it does well because it gives this otherworldly feel that civilization's now gone, you've got the last human Finn, and it feels so greatly done. And it does so well. Now, I do hope the show doesn't get the Powerpuff Girls 2016 treatment because I want this to be left on its own. So I definitely give this series the best thumbs up. It does so well and does so great. So, Comic Reviewer here, signing out.